I'm Lynn, the party chef, and today we're going to be making my mom's recipe of banana nut bread. Let's jump in and get started. These are the ingredients you're going to need today. 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of sugar, 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 3/4 cups of milk, 1 egg, 1 cup of mashed ripe bananas, which is 2 to 3 bananas, and 1 cup of finely chopped nuts. I'm using walnuts today, but you can use whatever you like. As you see, all of my ingredients have been pre-measured out. That's what we call mise en place. Before you start putting your ingredients together, your oven should be on 350 degrees to preheat. We're adding our dry ingredients to the bowl first, starting with 2.5 cups of the all-purpose flour, followed by the 1 cup of sugar. Then we're adding in our 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder and our 1 teaspoon of salt. After our dry ingredients have been added to the bowl, we're going to give them a quick stir. We want to make sure that everything is incorporated well before we add in our wet ingredients. Our wet ingredients, the milk and vegetable oil, has been measured separately into a measuring cup. We're going to then take our egg, crack it into the little bowl, inspect it, and then add it into the milk and vegetable oil mixture. After we've done that, we can add those wet ingredients right into the bowl, and we're going to begin to mix on low speed. I'm using a hand mixer today. I want to just show you the versatility of this recipe, and also to let you know that you don't have to have a stand mixer before you can start baking. You can also mix this by hand if you don't have a hand mixer. So we're just going to begin to mix in our ingredients together on low speed. This mixer I picked up at a yard sale some time ago and never used it, so I figured I'd pull it out today. It's very old, probably from the 1940s, but I'm having a little bit of a trouble with it, so I may need to switch over to my handy-dandy KitchenAid mixer to finish mixing this. So I'm just going to mix on low to have these ingredients incorporated before I add the bananas. You can either mash your bananas for this recipe, but I like to just put them into that same measuring cup and using a small paring knife to just slice them down a little bit. I like to see those chunks of banana coming through in the banana nut bread, but again, it's your choice. You can either mash them or slice them up. Then we're going to add those bananas into the bowl and continue mixing. Total mixing time in this entire recipe is about 3 minutes or so. So once we add those bananas into the mixture, we're just going to continue mixing for about another 1.5 minutes. We're going to scrape down in between. We want to make sure that it is well incorporated and that everything is well combined for this recipe. Notice in the ingredients of this recipe there is no flavoring. This is a true, authentic, natural banana nut bread, which is why I love it so much. There's no cinnamon, no nutmeg, there's no vanilla. It's just an all-natural banana nut bread. We're going to continue mixing. I had to switch over to my handy-dandy KitchenAid mixer. The other one was giving me a little bit of a trouble. And so again, you can use a stand mixer or a hand mixer or even mix by hand. So I'm going to continue mixing with my hand mixer for about a minute or so until it's well combined. Be sure when you are mixing, using any kind of mixer, that you scrape down in between. You want to make sure that everything is well incorporated into your recipe. So always mix well. We're going to add in our nuts as the last stop. I'm using halves today because that's what I had. And so when I put them into the bowl, I'm just going to mix them a little bit to break them up. I don't want the chunks to be so large in the banana nut bread. So you can use finely chopped, whatever you like. It's your preference. Again, this recipe calls for walnuts. You can use pecans. You can also add other ingredients like chocolate chip. You can add coconut. You can be really creative in this recipe. You can use it as a base and then switch up. I would recommend doing the recipe as is the first time and then come back and change it up a little bit. Again, this is a good base recipe for you to use for banana nut bread. So we're just going to continue mixing that just for another minute or so, and then we're going to get that into our loaf pan. This recipe makes 1 large loaf or 2 smaller loaves, and so I'm using 1 loaf pan today. We're going to add a little bit of Baker's Joy spray, just a little bit, so that our bread does not stick to the pan. And then we're going to just get all of this batter into our loaf pan and bake on 350 degrees for 55 to 65 minutes. Again, your oven should have been already preheating at 350 degrees. The loaf pan that I'm using today is by Chicago Metallic. It's a very sturdy pan. I've had it for over 10 years and it just holds up very well. It's commercial grade. There's a link in the description if you need to add one of these tools to your culinary toolbox. I'm going to get all of that batter there into the pan, and then we're going to put it into our oven again. It's going to bake for 55 to 65 minutes. I will normally set my timer for 50 minutes, and then I will check the bread when the timer goes off. If it needs additional baking time, I will add 5-minute increments onto my timer and just keep checking it until it's done. You can check for doneness by using a wooden toothpick, or you can take a strand of spaghetti, snap it in half, and then use that to also test for doneness. A nice touch would also be to add raw sugar to the top if you'd like. You would just sprinkle it right on top. It'll give you a little crunch to the banana nut bread. So again, our oven is preheated on 350 degrees, and we're going to bake this for 55 to 65 minutes until it's done. Once your bread is ready, you're going to remove it from the oven with oven mitts. Be sure to use safety when you are baking. You're going to let it cool for about 10 to 15 minutes before slicing into it. Our bread is all done, and this is what it looks like. You got that nice golden color on it. So here we are. We're going to slice it and take a look. I'm going to show you what this bread looks like inside. You can also toast it and put butter on it. This is great with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Very, very nice bread. Again, it's my favorite that my mom used to make. I grew up on this bread, and I figured I'd share it with you guys. I'll be sharing other banana nut bread recipes. This one is a true banana nut bread recipe. You can see as I slice it that it's light in color. It's not dark, and that also has to do with other ingredients or spices being added to the actual batter. So again, there's no flavoring. There's no other spices in this. This is just a true all-natural banana nut bread. So here we are. Hope you try it. Let me know how you like it and what you think about it. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Let's party.